thanking you all for making it today to Bulawayo. I know that you have had, the past few days have been quite hectic for all of you. Programs have been back to back. Let me acknowledge the Permanent Secretary for Bulawayo Metropolitan Province, leading Provincial Affairs and Devolution in this province, Ubaba P. Nyoni, the Board Chairperson of the Procurement Regulatory Authority of Zimbabwe, Umama S. N. Moyo, the Chief Executive Officer of Procurement of PRAS, Dr. C. Ruswa, His Worship, the Mayor of the City of Bulawayo, Councillor Colted, senior government officials here present, distinguished mayors and chairpersons, and all other accounting officers who are here today, representatives of local authorities standing in to represent your local authorities, members of the media fraternity, the Fourth Estate, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. It is a great honor to address you today in the City of Kings and Queens at the Governance and Local Authorities Conference, organized by PRAS under the theme Collaborative Governance, Building Partnerships for Effective Public Procurement, and of course, local economic development. This theme, I must say, speaks into the heart of our mission as the government of Zimbabwe to empower local communities and their local authorities to promote sustainable socio-economic development. Perhaps one of the greatest mistakes that we've been making is not clearly articulating the role that you play as local authorities. The Constitution speaks into 3 tiers of governance within the Republic of Zimbabwe in a unitary state. The first tier, we know that from the executive side, it is cabinet, headed by His Excellency. The second tier, we know that it is the Provincial Development Committee, which is headed by the Minister of State or the Governor. And the last tier is headed by the accounting officer, the town clerk, chief executive officer if it's an RDC, or town secretary if it is a local board. That's on the executive parameters. You, ladies and gentlemen, sit on the legislative side of the Constitution. On the top, we've got the Parliament of Zimbabwe, headed by the Speaker. And then we are supposed to have 10 provincial councils, which are going to have oversight over their respective local authorities. And that becomes the parliament in quotes for the province. Then we have the parliament in quotes of the local governance, the community. That is you, the legislative powerhouse at that level. So we want you to have an understanding that local authorities are not there just to make sure they collect our bins, but they are there to govern, to ensure that they are the 3rd tier of legislative oversight. I was hearing of a story of the last workshop when Mr. Ruswa was asked by a councillor to say, if you don't want us to be involved in procurement, then why were we elected? Because certainly we should make a bit of money. I would like to assure you that as legislative overseers, we do not want you to dwell in executive responsibilities. Empowering local communities through procurement is very possible. As we explore the theme of collaborative governance, it is vital to recognize the profound impact that the effective public procurement has on localized communities. When local authorities prioritize procuring goods and services from local suppliers, they are not just fulfilling administrative duties. They are, in fact, actively investing in their own communities. This practice generates jobs, supports local businesses, and ultimately enhances the local quality of life for your residents. There's the issue of capital flight that we don't take into consideration. If there are people who can mow lawn in Gwanda, give them the job. We do not want to see everyone buying from Harare. Support the business people in your own jurisdictions. That is the only way that you're going to grow your local GDP. If there are construction companies in Matabeleland South, support them, because they will recruit people from Matabeleland South. And even when they are enjoying their profits, they'll spend that money in Matabeleland South. The capital flight risk of money then going to other provinces to develop other provinces is not in line with devolution. So for instance, consider the procurement of construction services for local infrastructure projects. By engaging local contractors, we are not only ensuring that funds circulate within the community, but also enable these businesses to grow and thrive, thus creating the much needed local employment. This creates a ripple effect where the benefits of economic activity extend beyond the initial transaction. Compliance in general with public procurement regulations is essential for you as local authorities to maintain integrity and accountability in your operations. Unfortunately, ladies and gentlemen, today we are seized with numerous court cases which have now highlighted significant lapses in this area, leading to the legal repercussions for various councillors in local authorities here in Zimbabwe. Instances of non-compliance, such as failure to follow comparative bidding processes and other policies, or inadequate record keeping, have resulted in legal challenges that not only have drained the public resources and public confidence, but also tarnished the reputation of local authorities. These court cases serve as a stark reminder of the importance of adhering to the Procurement Act of public entities. By ensuring compliance, local authorities can mitigate risks associated with corruption and lack of improved services. Let me throw a word of caution. We have seen a new trend of corruption that is fast rising, where contractors or suppliers win tenders. And the accounting officers, for some reason, begin to have amnesia. And for 1 year or 2 years, they are not buying. Running around telling councillors, oh, Praz said this, Praz said that. In the meantime, they are looking for a friend who can supply the same thing. I am warning you, we are on to you. It will not end well. As the Office of Presidential Affairs and Devolution, we are now in charge of oversight on all 10 provinces. Our office oversees political, social, security, economic, developmental issues across all 10 provinces. We oversee every ministry. And we are now so proactive that even before you commit the crime, we know what you are thinking of doing. So this habit of having amnesia and forgetting that people have won tenders, waiting for your brother-in-law or sister-in-law to come with a copycat product, has to end. Moreover, the ramifications of these compliance failures extend beyond legal consequences, as they directly affect the communities that you serve. When procurement processes are flawed, the resulting contracts may not deliver the intended benefits to local suppliers and businesses. During ERP2, we saw a lot of companies that were given construction projects by local authorities. Some of them didn't even own a wheelbarrow, but they had a tender to put roads. Some of them didn't even have the proper apparel just to wear the work suits. So you need to make sure that when you're procuring, you do not disadvantage the communities. So when you overlook the importance of engaging local suppliers who are competent, you miss opportunities to stimulate your economies, but also to please your residents. This can lead to a cycle of many problems among the residents as you will be fostering incompetence. However, we are aware that we must candidly address the challenges that local authorities face, especially the councillors in executing these procurement activities. Many accounting officers in local authorities tend to have a blame game on PRAS when their procurement processes take a hold. The simple rule of the game is comply. It's like you trying to board a plane to go to South Africa with no passport. And you begin to blame the airline. You begin to blame everyone at the airport. Where were you thinking you are going without a passport? That's some of you. You come to PRAS without following proper regulations. You come to PRAS without following the simple policies that we expect from accounting officers. And you expect PRAS to look the other way, not in this second dispensation. I also implore accounting officers to educate councillors. Because we've seen that some councillors, some of them who do not have the requisite educational qualifications, all of a sudden become professors of procurement when there's a big tender. They now want to lecture officials on how is the best modality to procure goods and services. We've also noticed that some local authorities are conniving not to pay suppliers, especially those in construction. And when the suppliers threaten to demobilize and say until you've paid, when we send our people on the ground, we hear the supplier, the contractor failed to perform. And they quickly push for the contract to be cancelled, whilst on the other hand, they already have someone waiting on the sidelines to take over that contract. That's also corruption. The Public Procurement and Disposal of Public Assets Act serves as our guiding framework emphasizing transparency, accountability, and competition. Yet many of us in this room may find it challenging to navigate this regulatory landscape effectively. This is where our collective efforts must focus, ensuring that local authorities are well equipped to understand and implement these regulations in ways that benefit their operations. The Public Procurement and Disposal of Public Assets Act is designed to create an equitable playing field for all suppliers. It mandates that procurement processes be open and competitive, providing local businesses the opportunity to bid for contracts fairly. By adhering to the principles outlined in this act, local authorities can build trust with their communities and suppliers, ensuring that public funds are used responsibly and transparently. The Office of the President and Cabinet has started to notice a trend where certain line ministries are now overtaking local authorities and undertaking procurement directly. Let me just say this is not going to end well. Ministry of Local Government, Ministry of Primary and Secondary Education, Ministry of Health, all line ministries, they need to respect the 3 tiers of governance. We cannot, as central government, go into local authorities' jurisdictions already holding a contractor's hand of choice. That's unethical. Let's respect the boundaries of procurement. It doesn't matter what title you hold. The law applies to everyone. So please, let's stop abusing our offices as central government. Let's allow local authorities to do what they were elected to do, which is to govern their jurisdictions. Building partnerships for local growth. is very essential, but affirmative procurement, which I'm reliably informed that PRAS is working on affirmative procurement guidelines. These guidelines are meant to address the previous imbalances in access to opportunities, with few local authorities can easily advance if we achieve this goal, which is even enunciated in the PPDPA Act, Section 29, which speaks to domestic preferencing. I urge PRAS to conclude on the affirmative procurement guidelines as soon as possible so that our communities can benefit as soon as possible. In the spirit it would be done with, it is prudent that you capacitate these local authorities on how to effect these guidelines when they are adopted. One of the greatest challenges that we are noticing is there is an equitable distribution of contracts. We are seeing that when women businesses bid for projects, chances of them winning projects are zero. This should end. We need to promote the equitable distribution. It might be construction, it might be cleaning services. Let's give our women a chance to participate in the value chain of procurement. It is very essential. Thank you very much. It is very essential that we make sure that we have value for money. And the value for money principle ensures that not only are we buying our goods and services, procuring them at favorable rates, but we also ensure that we are not having products which are below the required standards. In conclusion, let us commit to a vision of collaborative governance that prioritizes the needs of our local communities. By enhancing public procurement practices, we can drive local economic development and empower citizens. We are aware that you have finished your master plans, but we are noticing a lot of councillors have now become land barons. They are now leading land invasions. Chitungwiza, City of Harare, and some notable RDCs. Christmas might be very far for you. You are meant to be the custodians of resources, not the undertakers of production. We are not going to regularize just because as councillors, when you invade land, you then recommend where you invaded to be regularized. We are going to be asking tough questions to your town clerks to justify regularization. And every place where there's chaos, where you want us to regularize, we want to hear about the story behind the story. How did those people get there? So I'm sorry, but most of us in this room might spend Christmas behind bars if this continues. The nice thing about it is, even if you don't clap margins, what? Because we are not here to lie to each other. You have a responsibility. You are elected to be responsible. You are not elected to come and pilferage in the local authorities. If you thought being a councillor is your fast way to stay in low densities and to drive nice cars or start donating some cars yourself, you are lying to yourself. We are going to continue capacitating you and teaching you governance because that's what you need. And you need to be accountable to your people when you go back and explain to them why roads are not being done on time. Why is it taking so long to procure services at the local clinics? So it is important that you take this address as a riot act. Because we don't care within the Office of President and Cabinet where you report to which ministry. We are Office of the President and Cabinet. We have oversight. And when it really comes to the chase, who implement the judgment ourselves. So let's ensure, legislators, that you safeguard your policies, you fully appreciate your bylaws, and understand the role that you have been given by the Constitution of Zimbabwe, which means you are the third tier of governance in the country. You are the parliament for that local authority. You supersede the laws called bylaws for that local authority. Going forward, as you heard from the President, there will be no discussions to local authorities that do not procure goods and services on time, compromising national projects. I'm sure he told you what he's going to do. But otherwise, I wish you full deliberations. I urge you to smile more, and let's hope that by the end of this conference, some of you would have repented, and that we are now working together. I now declare this conference officially opened. God bless you all. God bless Zimbabwe. I thank you.